Welcome everybody to the OpenGov Hack Night. Whee! This is episode number 140. We're going to have a special presentation from Slowroll Chicago. We'll get to that in a moment. But before we do, we'd like to go through a couple of bits on the agenda first. Typically, we go around the room and everyone says hi and introduces themselves, and then we'll have an open period for announcements. And then we'll get to our presentation, and then after that, we'll break out into groups and work on stuff. So before we get into all that, raise your hand if this is your first OpenGov Hack Night. Welcome to the new people. So you new folks, we have an orientation for you. If you're, if anything that we're going to talk about is like over your head, or you just want to know what civic hacking is and OpenGov and all that stuff, Christopher here. Wait, Christopher. Hi. Has like a 10-15 minute presentation that he can kind of walk you guys through. So that we'll revisit that again when we talk about. It's one of the many breakout groups we have. So this is Chicago's place to build, share, and learn about civic tech. And we've been doing this for about 2.5, 3 years now. It's always awesome to see new faces, and hopefully everybody will get a chance to work on some really cool stuff tonight. I think we'll get right into the introductions. Is there anything else I'm missing? No? Okay. I always forget this at the end, or I only do it at the end, so I'll do it at the beginning now. Thank you to Code for America for buying the pizza. Yay! We have them as a sponsor and a couple other groups, so you are always well fed every week. Thanks again to Braintree for obviously offering this super awesome space. So we'll get into the introduction. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Derek Eater. I'm an open data web developer. I like to make stuff with open data. That's enough. We'll go on. Oh, Kathy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Day. I'm a developer at DevMate. Hi, I'm Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Nick. Tyler.
Bruce. I'm just going to change my intro for a second. I usually say something else, but because my background's actually numerical analysis, and mainly in models of physical systems for simulating physical systems. Yeah, and I just started to gain an increasing respect for all you guys who work with data that gets scraped off the web and things like that. It's amazing what you guys do.
I'm Jordan. I work here at Braintree. Hey, I'm William. Just been studying Python, C, and C++ for the last year. Just looking to get more into it and find people to start projects with.
I'm Richard. I'm a data scientist here at Braintree.
Let's go like this way. We already did Cat. Eric.
I'm Eric. I work with these guys at DataMate.
Hi, I'm Forrest, runner David.
Tim, research and software development at Datasled.
I'm Tim. I do consulting with early stage companies.
I'm Orion. I work with data and education.
Hi, my name's Justin. I'm a student at the University of Chicago, and I'm a developer.
I'm Jackie. I'm a data scientist.
I'm Jack. I'm a software developer. My name is Eric. This is my first OpenGov Hack Night. I'm new to Braintree. I do tech support.
I'm Gino. I'm a freelance JavaScript developer.
I'm Guillermo. I'm a recent Dartmouth College grad and inspired developer.
Hi, I'm Anya. I'm an international.
Hi, I'm Carly. I'm a freelance technical writer for smartphone software.
Steve Ender, Latin School of Chicago, database administrator, and Institute of Functional Affairs.
Stephen Vance, writer, editor, web developer, user of Civic.
David Mountain, executive director at the Illinois Campaign for Political Reform.
Josh Gila, I work with Cook County government under open data, and I'm also facilitator for the education breakout.
I'm Jackson Copy, a software developer at all one. Both the computer science and data students at IIT. I'm dedicated to doing as data analyst in the future. And this is my second time to be here.
I'm Alex Collins. I'm an R user, a Python evangelist. I like making stuff, and I'm also a software engineer slash data scientist.
I'm Claire Micklin, and I'm an interaction designer at the University of Chicago.
My name is Matt. I work as a bicycle mechanic. I also work for a community organization that advocates for cycling and increasing accessibility to the city.
I'm Mark from registered at UIC. We did mathematics and environmental science.
John Andor, I work for the Illinois General Assembly.
My name is Andy White. This is my first time. I work for a small economic planning consultant.
My name is Eric Halverson. I do policy research during the day and work as an independent journalist at night.
I'm Bonnie, I'm here for the pizza. Also, Jan Miller, I'm a software QA analyst and I'm interested in using civic data for policy purposes.
I'm Alan Randolph. I'm a program manager learning R and on the environmental team.
I'm Molly, I work for an educational software startup.
I'm Bonnie, I'm a grad student at Northwestern.
I'm Blythe, I do communications for a tech startup that does social media advertising.
I'm Eric, I do some local political work, and then during the day, I do GIS and transportation.
I'm Oscar, I am a developer at CastRQ.
I'm Cole, I'm like an intern at a law.
I'm Graham, I'm a civic tech evangelist at Microsoft. I work with Adam Heckman, who some of you guys might know. He's sick tonight, so he can't make it, but said he would be.
I'm Jess, I work for Mocha Data and I'm
I'm Martin. I'm a transportation planner, and I'm interested in someone teaching me how to use GitHub better.
I'm Doug. I'm not over managing my fantasy soccer team. I've been volunteering on the Alderman campaign of Steve Nickotopoulos for the second quarter. Insane and gerrymander.
I'm Norm. I've been on a couple of the Slowroll rides, and I write fun stuff for software.
I work at Amos.
My name is Dada, I'm a student at Intel Tech. I do data analytics.
My name is Eileen, and I'm a paralegal and civil legal aid. I work with individuals who have Medicaid and Medicare.
I'm Colton, and I'm an attorney at civil legal aid, and I'm also a nonprofit consultant, and I'm interested in connecting technology and social impact.
I'm going to introduce Steve Rupert, who's a developer, to my right. My name is Jim McGowan. I'm the Director of Planning and Situational Awareness for the Red Cross. I use data to help manage and mitigate that.
Hey everyone, my name is Rosie Frier, and I am the co-founder of Relief. It's an app that helps Chicagoans check their public assistance.
Hi, my name is Tiago. I work for the University of Chicago, developer, financial data, business school, and I also go on Slowroll. That's how we're doing.
I'm Nick. I'm a researcher at Chapin Hall at the University of Chicago. I do work with child and family welfare policy. I do a lot of programming in R. I'm a facilitator for the mock programming sessions. You'll hear more about tonight.
My name is Jeremy. I'm a developer at CGP, and I'm an adjunct professor at Northeastern Illinois.
Hi everyone, my name is Manny. I'm an investment analyst. I mostly work with R, but I've been dabbling in Python as late.
Hello, my name is Randy. I am old. I like Python. I like Python and a project that I play around with called Visual CTA Chicago.
My name is Renee. I like to translate web apps, and I'm a topic facilitator.
You guys.
I'm Gabe. I'm an education programs producer for the General Assembly.
I'm Sarah, I'm a freelance web developer and also a part-time instructor at General Assembly.
I'm David, I'm a freelance consultant.
Hey everybody, I'm MJ. Me, please know me, you know what I do.
I'm Sam, I'm a designer / design strategist.
Hey, I'm Ben. I'm a JavaScript developer.
I'm Ellie. I'm a developer. I make software.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. I'm postdoctoral researcher at Order National Lab, and I do mostly C, Bash, and
My name is Steven Vance. I'm a transportation planner, and I'll hear more from you later.
Olatunji Oboi Reed, I'm a Slowroll Chicago creator. More from me later.
My name's Mark, I'm a serial learner, R of Python.
My name is Patrick. I'm a writer for Chicago.
Hi, I'm Scarlett. I'm a grad student in public policy at the University of Chicago.
Hi, my name is Charlene, and I'm a pharmacist. I work for hospitals, and I'm interested in medication safety and looking at data for population health related to medication.
Hey everyone, my name is Annie. I'm the regional director at General Assembly in Chicago. We do a bunch of classes and workshops on design, tech, and business topics. We're also looking to find instructors to teach web development skills and also data science related skills. So lots for us to talk about. What can we do get?
Do you all have internship positions?
What's that?
Do you all have internship positions?
Internship positions? We can chat more about that. Even two of my colleagues over here as well.
I'm Tanya Hill. I'm the director of infrastructure and security at the Royal University.
Hi, Sam Taylor, project manager, and I work for Burlington Northern Texas.
Is anybody over here a few? Yeah.
Dennis Corey, I'm the developer for Reed. You can ask me also developer Reed.
Dennis.
I'm Richard Leverett. I was the chief of staff in Gary, Indiana, where I did stuff in technical data for the city, but now I just started as the government affairs liaison for Northern Indiana. My AT&T.
Is anybody else? Is that everyone? Oh yeah, hey, yeah.
Go straight to announcements.
Yeah, last but not least.
Hi, my name is Christopher Whitaker. I am a civic technology consultant here in Chicago doing work with Code for America and with Smart Chicago Collaborative. And I'll tell you about one of our projects.
Yeah. So moving on to announcements. So this is again, Christopher has a few, but if anybody wants to share anything with this group, it could be anything OpenGov or civic tech related. And that continues to be more and more about jobs these days. So that's also a welcome announcement. But yeah, Christopher, go ahead.
So one of the things that I do for Smart Chicago is manage the Civic Works project. It's a night grant that lets us hire technology companies, specifically civic tech startups, to do work with nonprofits and government agencies. One of those companies that we partnered with is called Textizen. Textizen is a texting service that city governments can use to get feedback. And we've partnered with the Chicago Department of Transportation to do a placemaking survey. So you're going to start seeing these on the L pretty soon. But it asked, I'd like to see more blank in Chicago city streets, trees and landscaping, seating, public gathering spaces, bike amenities, wider sidewalk. If you text the letter of your selection to 312-800-1729, it'll ask you to do a quick 5-minute survey, and then they're going to use that information that they gain from the public to help with the city's official placemaking plan. So if you care about your streets, please text.
And that number's live now?
That number's live now. No, the first people to hear about it, because we love you. Please text.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Is there a record where you're answering the survey prompt, where you're actually standing or where you're texting from?
No, it doesn't get your location.
I don't think text messages can do that, can they?
Do you have to complete the survey for your response to be counted?
No, but it'll show as incomplete.
Does the survey include what part of the city you live in?
I don't remember. I believe it does, but I'm not 100% sure.
Just trying to find out, right? Great. Any other announcements? There. Oh, should I put it up? Should I put it up?
This is the moment you've all been waiting for. So our group is
My building doesn't recycle inside of that title. And tonight we are doing a soft launch of our web app that allows people that live in 5+ unit buildings in Chicago to report that they are not getting recycling services. It's a pretty common occurrence that you wouldn't, just because there's a law that's not enforced. So people are kind of free to do as they want to obey the law or not, and then we're you have to be asking for recycling. So that's part of the reason why they are not doing it, also because they just don't have to. So yeah, if you don't recycle in your 5+ unit building, you can't report it on it. You can put it on your mobile phone or on your computer. It's recycling. So yeah, we really like your feedback. What is that? It's very responsive.
We are also looking for bugs. And
Yeah.
hope that you will help us look for bugs. So if you would take time to at least visit and click around, even if you don't live in a 5-unit building, you don't have anything to report, that's fine, but please, if you wouldn't mind to click around with it, if you do have something to report, please report it. If you find any bugs, you can report them on the GitHub project, which is OpenGov/recycling.
A fancy contact form on the website also.
You can also use the contact form on the website.
Is there any minimum for recycling? Like, I live in a multi-tenant building, but there's like 2 bins for.
Yeah, we reported that too.
Okay, so that can be reported too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just leave a comment. Leave a comment, say like, reporting this building that we have recycling, but it's not enough.
But actually, it's for reporting that you don't have recycling.
Yeah, I mean, you can parse through.
Call 311 if you want an extra blue bin.
Yeah.
But this is for people who don't have blue bins though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is-
But if somebody else is reporting a different issue.
Okay, I'll leave a comment.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, can you report your building anonymously, or do you have to say who you are?
Totally anonymous. It is anonymous.
Is there a search etiquette if your building has more than one address?
The geocode is through the Google Maps API, so as long as Google figures out what it is, you're good.
Okay.
Cool, awesome. So yeah, congrats guys, this is great. I expect to see a lot more. Other announcement, you have one? Yeah.
Hey guys, as I mentioned earlier, my name is Andy. I work at General Assembly. We're currently based just out of 1871 on the 12th floor where you guys used to be. I have 2 quick announcements. The first one is if you are a web developer or a data analyst or data scientist, as I mentioned earlier, we are looking for instructors to teach our courses. So if you're interested in teaching with us potentially, please chat with my teammates here, Gabe, and also Sarah. Sitting next to him. The second announcement is if you are looking to learn more about web development or data analytics or UX design or anything like that, we're actually offering a discount to just the community members of OpenGov Hack Night. Basically, it's going to be a $200 discount to everyone from here who signs up for one of our part-time courses, and a $500 discount for everyone who signs up for one of our full-time courses, which are the full-time ones are meant for if you're looking to completely change careers into being a web developer or UX designer. And the part-time courses, are 10 weeks, 12 weeks, generally 2 nights a week. And those are meant to add a skill set, whether it's front-end web development or UX design or data analytics into your existing portfolio of skill sets. So the way you would do that, you go to the General Assembly website, and if you apply to any of our courses, just make sure that in your online application include this sentence. I am a community member of OpenGov Hack Night. Okay? I am a community not case sensitive. I am a community member of OpenGov Hack Night, and our team will know what to do with that. $200 off part-time courses, $500 off full-time courses, and again, if you want to teach with us, talk to Gabe and Sarah over here. Thanks, guys. Awesome. Other announcements, anybody? Yeah.
Cooperation 2015.net.
Oh, you got
Hey, I'm Steve, and we have something coming up. I want to ask you a question. What do you folks here in this room have in common? Hint, the answer was in that question. In this room. For common. You guys are using the commons. You're creating the commons. And that's what we're going to talk about on February 28th at Institute of Cultural Affairs. We have a variety of people that are going to join us. We'd really like all of you to join us. So go to cooperation2015.net and sign up and show up 10 to 3 on the 28th. We're going to be talking about alternative economies. How do we reclaim and rebuild the commons? What are cooperatives all about? How can we cooperate better? How can we redefine cooperatives to include more people so that more people get interested in common ownership? And so a bunch of things like that. It's going to be an unconference kind of affair, so it's going to be very loose for y'all who show up. Everybody's going to have a voice. So please join us on the 28th of February.
Okay, that's tomorrow, right?
No, February.
Oh, February, next month.
Sorry.
Got
It's Saturday.
Great, thank you. Other announcements? Awesome tonight. Huh? Oh, you got another one? Oh, that's it. Oh, yeah, sure.
So, one of the things that, if you notice on the OpenGov Hack Night site, there's a video, sort of a longer video about what OpenGov Hack Night is about. I live stream these every week, and one of the things that YouTube is allowing us to do now is to do almost like a trailer that runs before the live stream. I'd like to put one together for OpenGov Hack Night, and I'd like to interview y'all. So after the Civic Hacking 101, if anybody wants to answer a few questions about why they come to Hack Night, what they're working on, and why they feel it's important to be part of this, I'd be happy to get you on camera. And that's going to be in the flipping tables room.
Cool, awesome. Any more announcements? Okay, great, some good ones tonight. So I think we're going to move on to our feature presentation. Oboi, you want to come on down here? Oh wait, we have it on a, yeah, we have it open. Okay, great. So I don't think I need to introduce you guys. You guys have been coming for like 2 months now.
2.5 years.
Well, Steven, I was talking about Oboi. Okay. So this is, I'm really looking forward to this presentation because it's actually part of it has been worked on here at previous Hack Nights. So you guys are also not only going to talk about what the work you've been doing, Oboi, but also presenting some work that was done by this community here. So I'll just stop there and leave it all to you guys. Go for it.
Okay.
Video.
Oh, the video's first, right.
And the sound should work. I think we have that set up.
Did you load it up already?
Oh, you know what it? Sorry, my browser crashed.
Just breathe. Slowroll, Chicago. My name is Oboi Reed. I am the president of the Slowroll Chicago movement.
My name is Steven Vance, formerly of Streets Block Chicago, which is probably how you and I met a couple years ago. The
but then I'm now helping Oboi with a project here at Hack Night that a lot of you have worked on. I think there's like now 13 people that have contributed their help. Let's go.
Cool. So first I want to talk about sort of the history of Slowroll. Slowroll is a global movement. It was founded in Detroit in 2010 by two people, Jason Hall, this gentleman here, and another gentleman by the name of Mike McCool. When it started, it was just a couple of people who wanted to ride on a weekly basis. And over a few weeks, over a few months, it grew and grew. And it eventually got up to a few hundred. And then about a year ago in Detroit, something caught and it just took off. And it went from a few hundred to a few thousand, riding on a weekly basis. And that's important because we don't know of any other weekly rides that happen in the United States with numbers like that. You'll see an annual ride that'll get a few thousand. You'll see a monthly ride, like a critical mass, every once in a while, gets thousands of people. A weekly ride, though, getting thousands of people to come out on a regular basis is unheard of in this country. So the other thing that makes that so important is because it's Detroit. It's Detroit. With all of the challenges that Detroit has, nobody anticipated that Detroit would lead the way in terms of how to use biking to create community. It was always, West Coast cities, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle. Well, like a rose growing through concrete, Detroit gave birth to a movement that, people around the world are now paying attention to, including us in Chicago. And because of that, my co-founder Jamal is here. We saw what Detroit was doing, and we wanted to bring the same energy and spirit to Chicago. And in order to make that happen, we had to create, some type of structure because it's just him and I. We're unpaid. We don't get paid for this work. We love this work. We're passionate about this work. So we created a structure that we felt like would allow us to achieve our objectives. We created a nonprofit organization and created a board of directors. We have ride leaders who help us lead rides. And we have a volunteer team called Squad Chicago who help us manage our rides while we're riding, the safety and logistics of each ride. And then we have an extensive volunteer community. Many people here have been volunteering for Slowroll Chicago and helping us with this data project that we're going to talk about tonight. Yep. The mission of our organization is to connect a diverse group of people to utilize the activity of cycling to transform neighborhoods. The values that we hold dear, there's three that we really want to focus on tonight. One is inclusion. What we ask ourselves is, why are Black people, why are brown people, why are low to moderate income people in Chicago feeling disconnected from the activity of cycling? And part of why that is because we don't feel included in the conversation. We don't feel included in the activities. And a priority for us is creating an environment where everybody feels safe, everybody feels protected, everybody feels like their culture is represented, and everybody feels a part of our community. Diversity. One, as Black people, we like to express ourselves. We like to express ourselves in what we wear. We like to express ourselves in the way we communicate. We like to express ourselves in the music that we listen to. And part of creating a culture, an environment where people of color and low to moderate income people feel comfortable riding bikes is creating an environment where they can express themselves. And this is an example of expressing ourselves through the bikes that we ride. And that's ultimately what we're talking about when we talk about diversity. Equity. Equity is about it's completely contrary to the city's approach to bicycle infrastructure. The city's approach to bicycle infrastructure is the communities who bike the most deserve the most infrastructure. That's not equity. Our position is equity is about the communities who bike the least deserve the most infrastructure. And the reason that's important to us is because we want the communities who bike the least to one day be at parity with the communities who bike the most. And the way that we get there is by investing more in communities that bike the least so that they can grow to where communities are that bike the most. So in other words, ridership in Inglewood is very low. Ridership in Wicker Park is high. In order to bring Inglewood up to par with Wicker Park, we have to invest more in Inglewood right now than we do in Wicker Park. That's true equity. Equity is about creating parity and doing the investment, doing the work so that you achieve parity. So, why do we do all of this? There's so many benefits to biking. And Steven is going to talk about some of those social factors. We believe our society is better the more people bike. And we want our communities to be better. We want to improve the condition of our communities. We want our communities to be just as bikeable on the south side and west side as north side and downtown. And creating a diverse bicycle culture in Chicago is part of improving our society. Creating equity around bike culture in Chicago is a part of that. And ultimately, we believe we will transform our neighborhoods as a result. Some of you may know my story. I've been pretty public about how biking saved my life. I've struggled with depression since I was in high school, and I went through a very hard time in my life where I, considered some very drastic ways to end myself of the pain that I was experiencing. And as an adult, I wasn't riding bikes. I had an old bike in the basement that I hadn't rode in years. And as a last resort, I decided to take the bike to the lakefront and just see what happens. Will it help? I don't know. I'll try it though. And that ride on the lakefront is part of why I'm here today. I turned to biking and it was like medicine for me. And I want other people, especially people of color, especially low to moderate income people in this city who feel excluded, who are struggling with mental illness, who are struggling with poverty, struggling with all types of challenges, to find value in riding bikes and experience the healing that could come from that type of experience. So that's sort of my, personal testimony. And part of, what I recognized through riding as an adult is that I was able to, engage in a community. I remember that ride on the lakefront. It was so interesting to me because at one point I just wanted to sort of acknowledge the other people that were riding on the lake, and I would look up and say hello or head nod, and I would get it right back. And I just thought that was awesome. I felt connected. I felt a part of this community that was riding on the lakefront that early morning. And part of it is expanding our worldview. This city is incredibly segregated. We want to show people different parts of this city. We want to take people off the block, out of their neighborhood, and show them all that this city has to offer. And then lastly is to create some interactions that may at first be a little bit uncomfortable because you're talking with people that you don't normally talk to in terms of age and race and income and class. But that diversity of interaction for me is what helps us grow, what helps us improve the condition of our society. And how do we bring the mission to life? We have three primary tools that we use. Our signature ride. So Slowroll Chicago, similar to Detroit, we're going to ride every Wednesday night in Chicago. That's our signature ride series. We're also going to do some weekend rides on Saturday when we start our season in April. Those signature rides are always community-based. They're always in partnership with a community-based organization. And we work very deliberately to get people to ride with us who don't ride right now. That's our target audience. We want people to consider riding who don't ride. We do programs, so we do community engagement work. One example of a program that we do now is community engagement for Big Marsh to connect. Big Marsh is a huge bicycle park that's being built on the far southeast side of Chicago. And our work with that park is to help people in Pullman and around the neighborhood to feel connected to this park. Because what we're fighting against is people from around the world traveling to Chicago, traveling to the South Side, traveling to Big Marsh Park, bypassing Pullman, and people right there in the neighborhood don't feel connected, don't feel a sense of ownership, don't feel engaged with Big Marsh. So that's one of the programs that we're implementing. And the last part of our process of bringing our mission to life is advocacy. Advocacy for us is about pushing the city, pushing the state to make equity a priority in Chicago. Steven will talk about this. We're focused on bicycle infrastructure in Chicago being equitably distributed.
If there's one thing I really like doing, it's pushing the buttons at the people who work in city government. Anyone who's helped us so far, please stand up. I want to get like a full count of who's. So Eric, Martin, Adam, Gino, Bonnie. I think, yeah, Bonnie, you're in that picture. And I think we have several more who are not here tonight, but thank you for helping us get this far. We're going to show off what we've worked on. So we've had to collect a lot of data. So we're trying to build a tool to prove. So Oboi has the hypothesis that the city has one way of looking at equity and distributing bike lanes, but there is another way. And we're building a tool that can like measure those different ways, measure the city's way and measure what we think is a better way. And right now I'm calling it the Bicycle Equity Index. So to get to the point where we got today, we got a map. Like that's all it does. All it does is it shows things on a map. We had to collect a lot of data, and so that's what we did for like the first 2 or 3 weeks. We collected way more data than the map actually shows because it's kind of you have to like debate what kind of data you want to show on the map, especially for the first time you got to show it. This is the first meeting, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So Oboi, like we've known each other for a couple of years.
More than that.
You wanted this tool to be built.
Yes.
And I said, well, you can't just show up at Hack Night and say, someone build my tool. And so I told him, you gotta like come here and get to know people. Well, that's exactly what you do, what you did, and you're really good at that. And I wasn't there because I had mono at the time for 4 weeks straight. But you did that, thankfully, and you got the ball rolling, and so that when I came in, you had already like assembled a team. So I guess I should have shown the map first. Let's do that. And then I'll get back to that slide. Like I said, it's really just like two things. So what you're looking at is population density as the base layer. So the redder, the more dense the census tract is in Chicago. And then it's overlaid with bike lanes. And there are two colors going on here. Darker green is a protected bike lane or a off-street trail like the Lakefront Trail. And they're darker green, so they come out more as these are the safer, the likelier, they're more likely to be a safe route because they are separated from car traffic more than other kinds of bike lanes, which are then highlighted in the lighter green. And so you can see the distribution of those as well as like how much progress we've made because before 2011, there were no other dark green lines except for the Major Taylor Trail here, the Burnham Greenway over there, and the Lakefront Trail. So all the other dark green lines have been installed in the past 4 years. So now I'm going to bring back this slide. Okay, so that took a lot of work just to put that map together, because it's like us volunteering on Tuesday nights. And a bunch of people worked at home or during their own jobs, which is great, because then, like, whatever, you know, I'll let them debate with themselves if that was appropriate or not. To build the tool, I'm going to need more help, and so like we're going to keep hacking today as well, and we're going to have to talk about how we organize ourselves and organize the next several months. I've got the 2 groups up there. I think one group is going to be an analytical group, because we have to look at these social factors and how bicycling is affected by them and affects them. And so there's been a lot of research, academic research that we're going to have to start synthesizing. And then the other group is going to actually like do the programming and the map making. And part of that, I want to start teaching some skills, because like, I could make this tool like all by myself, but that would be the worst idea, because I wouldn't have a life anymore, and it would be everything that I want it to be, and that like as much as that makes sense for a single whatever. I'm not used to working in groups so much, which is why we got, I think, to spend a lot of time organizing ourselves. And so I want to teach GitHub, like you said, Martin. I want to teach Leaflet, HTML, JavaScript. I want to bring people up to like a common base level to show how this map got made and how we're going to make it better. And then also, which is the really hard part, and that's building the index itself. So I imagine it that you click on any point in this map, and it tells you the index, and that helps you understand the difference between this part of Chicago and another part of Chicago. So you would preferably click on 2 points if you were trying to investigate the difference between neighborhoods. And there's going to be a lot more, because Oboi is pretty set on his approach of which started with a letter to the city asking them to basically prove that they were being equitable in their distribution. And I doubt we're going to get a response. So this is our response to them. And I think it would work well in other cities. What was that?
Should we look at data from other cities?
Give the OSM data. That's still very slow.
Well, I think finding the data, that takes a long time. It's really not that hard. It just takes a long time to put it together in the format we need. The only difference in the data between cities would be the locations of bike lanes and the things that represent these social factors. So I guess I should go over those. So it said there's research on how bicycling can affect these social factors and how these social factors affect bicycling. So reducing violence. And like, I can't really talk through any of these because I haven't read the research myself. That's why we gotta bring on more people. Decreasing health care disparities. I think that one, you can surmise for yourself with how that bicycling affects health. Attracting strong retail. That's where most of the research has been recently. How like after a bike lane was installed in a corridor that never had it, the retail sales improved a little bit. And one thing that I love hearing from these studies is that business owners overestimate how many people arrive by car. And there'll be a before survey, and like the business owners are like, oh, I'm pretty sure like 80% of my customers come in a car. It's really half that in a lot of where these cities have come in. I mean, where these studies have been done in these cities. Chicago hasn't really been a focus of any of these studies, and I think maybe our tool can help. change that. And then increasing job creation. Again, I'm not so familiar with that. Definitely need your help. So yes, we'll be hacking afterwards in the cafeteria. If you saw the map and you're like, oh God, I can do better than that, please help us do better. You got any last words?
No, we can open it up for questions.
Okay.
I mean, so you showed us this map, you got a whole lot of answers here, like, what are your questions for us? Like, what is the feedback that you guys are looking for?
Is a bicycle equity index, as I described it, the right way to measure the distribution of bike lanes in the city?
But, I mean, so there's a lot of different ways, but it seems like, that seems like it's a kind of tactical question, right?
So, okay, the policy aspect is that the city has a Bike 2015 plan. This is 2015. It should all be done by the end of the year.
Okay.
It was approved by the city council in 2006. It has two overarching goals. One is to decrease the number of injuries and fatalities by 50% from 2006 levels. The second is to increase the number of trips under 5 miles that are taken by bike to 5% from whatever the level it was. It's between 1 and 2 currently. So I don't know how we're going to get to 5 by the end of the year. So but the city is, we make a lot of plans here. And so after this one expires, I think we'll probably end up making another one. And I want to be ready for that policy also, or inform that policy with perhaps better goal making. Because at that time in 2006, they didn't know the answer, or they didn't know the baseline data for either of those goals. So that didn't make sense to make goals that you couldn't actually measure.
No, I mean, I think you should talk to, I don't have the deep insight that's going to let you know which tactically is a better framing for you, but an alternative framing that you might consider is instead of a bike equity index, a bike opportunity index, right? Because most of the stuff here is not about current distribution, but about like what positive things would happen if you put in bike lanes. And in general, people are oftentimes much more, if you feel like about equity, this is not a great thing, but people like about equity, they think about like, they put them in a frame of thinking about a zero-sum game. And they're like, okay, well that means I want less for over here and over there. But if we talk about opportunity, it can oftentimes put people in a more friendly frame of mind, and they're saying like, okay, this is a growth orientation as opposed to a redistribution framework.
We've actually talked about that. Eric actually suggested that we, as a part of the bike equity index, we look at what happens in a neighborhood when ridership numbers increase.
Right.
So we sort of try to, forecast, does retail increase? Does violence decrease? Does, health disparities decrease? Those types of things. So that's an excellent suggestion. And it's a part of what we're exploring with the equity index.
Jackie?
The fourth bullet point, I would probably change that slightly to financial impacts, not just job creation, but job accessibility, as well as the overall impacts of like having an inexpensive form of transit where there are often neighborhoods that are not well served by buses and CTA in general.
Sure.
Steve?
Yeah, your map showed bike lanes over population density. I think a stronger statement would be to put some financial data in there, economic health of the neighborhoods, and see where the bike lanes have been built in relation to the economics, or maybe take some other factors like literacy or racial distribution. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you can look at census data, you can find you can do any sort of cross tabulation that you desire, but you're trying to illustrate a very obvious point.
Yeah.
Illustrate it. Go for it.
You said one of your goals was to be able to click on the map and show the index.
Is that or an opportunity index or other,
Yeah,
some
or
other
whatever
measurement?
the measure is that at any point on that chart, or are you gonna zone it in a way? I'm not from here, so I don't know how the zones in Chicago work, but in Seattle, we have districts and budgets that are allocated, votes, or petitions that are proposed are all based on the districts.
Right.
And so when you go back to the city and you say, hey, this zone, really needs attention.
We do have city council districts, and everything we do will be able to be sorted or filtered by that district.
Okay.
Because another part of the policy problem is that the city, so you described it, the city installs bike lanes where people are already biking. It also installs bike lanes where the city councilor agrees to let it be installed. And so in many cases, the alderman doesn't agree, and so the bike lane doesn't get installed. So this tool could be used as a way for people who live in that district to come back to the alderman and insert themselves into that conversation.
So there's like groups like CMAP and Active Transportation Alliance and Center for Neighborhood Technology. They all care about bike infrastructure. It's one of the things that we thought about. Why haven't they moved this already, or why? Or are you just proposing a completely different way of thinking about it?
CMAP just launched like this week. This so-called opportunity index.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't looked at it yet, but for us, when you said opportunity, I'm like, oh right, CMAP kind of is doing.
They love
that.
making index.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point of their existence.
Yeah.
There's a bike level of service index on that page too.
Right. So.
And it's on the data hub, because I never shared.
So
you're gonna walk us through it in 20 minutes.
It seems like there's people who could help you do that sort of opportunity index calculation or whatever. That this is what they do. They do partnerships potentially.
Back there, the purple shirt.
Yes, I saw on the web that the Chicago Department of Transportation in 2009, they did a study. They put out these pneumatic tires that measure bike traffic and non-vehicle traffic at 26 points in the city. And they did collect, and it was, the data was reported in a report in 2011, and it said it was supposed to be annual. I don't know if they repeated it.
Yeah, the city has a bike count program that it conducts very few times a year in very few locations, and I wouldn't find it reliable for anything because of how infrequently it occurs. And it's like 4 hours a day, 16 times a year.
Yeah, but it did show inequity from the south side to the north side, so.
Right, they distribute it geographically, but not necessarily equitably. So that's often their thing, and it's like if we divide the city into 3 parts, south, west, and north, do we have an equal number of bike lanes in each?
Per person currently riding. Right, but it seems that.
But I don't even think it goes that
supports the
far.
points you're trying to make.
What'd you say?
The data supports the points you're trying to make.
Right, and it's an issue of collecting all of that and rewriting it so it's understandable in a simple tool. And I would invite you to come with us.
Yeah. Well, maybe one more question.
Hi, I think the rides sound really great, and I wondered how you can build more on the enthusiasm of those rides too, because that's a big testament. If you the interest and the energy, the more you get these groups involved, beyond the pictures are great, like a picture of the group, but I wonder if there are more ways that you can, like you say, you partner with organizations, or if there's a way to say, 50 people or profiles or anything to like make your point that you're trying to build the energy. And also, how did Detroit do that? They must have publicized it somehow, or eventually you just see 1,000 people going past every weekend. So.
Right, and you want to join in.
Yeah.
So this is something that we think very deeply about, because again, our target audience is people who don't ride. So how do we inspire them to look at bikes in a brand new way? The pictures and videos is an important part of that. Connecting with people in a very personal, emotional way is a very important part of that. Getting them to, see bike in a brand new way. We're exploring every avenue to engage with people who think that bikes is something that white people do, or something that kids do, or something that poor people do because they can't afford a car.
Or people with spandex.
Spandex people riding over lakefronts. So, let's not underestimate the power of working with community-based organizations.
Yeah.
Because they're in these communities, they're working with people.
They're already organizing groups.
Yes. So when we get there for a ride, because we've been working with them, for months in some cases to plan a ride, and there's community engagement, there's participation in the planning process. You have a level of ownership in our rides that is very important for people to feel included in the process.
How'd you get Ron down there?
That picture?
Yeah.
Well, we went to an announcement that the governor and the mayor were both at. They did an announcement for Lake Calumet, announcing public access to Lake Calumet near Pullman. And a few of us, about 10 of us, came riding up on our bicycles to this announcement, and all these people walking around with suits and ties on, and all dressed up, and they see a diverse group of people riding on bicycles. And I think Ron just looked at us and said, "What the heck is going on?" And they had to come and talk to us.
He came and talked to us because the governor came and talked to us. That's what happened. But if I could add, it is a very transformative experience, and there have been a lot of people that have come from a lot of different areas as far as Deerfield and Lake Forest and have ridden with us. And so, what we've done is we've started, actually creating a huge community by connecting people from various communities. We're bringing a lot of folks into neighborhoods. Some, we had people that hadn't been back to Roseland, and they grew up in Roseland, but they hadn't been there in 40 years. And to come back to the neighborhood and see that, I can still ride through the neighborhood that I grew up in, and I don't need a bulletproof vehicle and a flat jacket, and I can actually patronize some establishments in this neighborhood, so I can get off the expressway and feel safe, So it is a very transformative experience for those that come from other areas, and they see that, the narrative that's projected in the media is a false narrative, and there are some wonderful, beautiful areas in the city of Chicago that I never see because I believe in this false narrative, Excuse me.
All right, well, that was awesome. I think maybe we'll take the more questions into the breakout group, but thank you again, Steven.